Hey y'all! So I am going to review two books today that I read over spring break, so I had a super productive spring break. The first one was I finally finished Empress of a Thousand Skies. Yay! And the second one was this amazing, holy crap, like you need to read this right now. The Hate You Give. Y'all, the hype behind this is real. Like, if you've heard anything about it on Twitter or even the news or like anything, there's so much hype around this book. And for a while, I was like, meh, I can wait until it comes into my library. I couldn't wait. It was on sale at Book People, not even on sale, but it's a first edition. It was at Book People, and I was like, mine, gotta have it. And totally worth it. Like, it is not one you want to pass up. So, first book I finished was Empress of a Thousand Skies. I actually stuck to a book for once that I said I was going to finish. And if you saw the last episode of Lispy Librarian, I kind of went over the premise of it was about, but I'm going to recap just in case you didn't. So, Empress of a Thousand Skies. It is sci-fi fantasy, kind of, with a revenge theme. So, Princess Rhiannon is the last of her family. So she's a princess, and her whole family was in a explosion when they were traveling from their home planet to a different planet, and everybody died except her because she wasn't on the ship with the rest of her family. So she's the last person alive, and basically it's kind of her coming of age thing where she's going to inherit her dynasty? I don't know. Basically, she's a ruler of this whole galaxy. And when she turns 16, she's going to go back to her home planet and she's going to go rule it. But she wants to kill the guy. His name is Sinotra, who she thinks murdered her family, who was behind like her family's explosion in their ship or whatever. She does not kill him. Someone else does. Spoiler! Sorry. But that happens like right in the middle of the book. So this happens and then you're like, well, what now? If you are going to read Empress of a Thousand Skies, stop the video until I hold up The Hate You Give again because spoilers. Okay, so she's 16 and she wants to kill the guy who kills her family, obviously. So there's revenge for a big chunk of the book. And then, bam, someone else kills him. And you're like, what now? Well, then you find out her sister is not dead. And then you meet her sister. And then at the very last page of the book, her sister realizes who she is because her memory's been wiped. Y'all, it went all, like, soap opera-y on me, and I couldn't deal. So, 2 out of 5 stars. Because it was really, really good in the beginning, and then it all goes downhill once Sinotra is killed. Because it kind of gets whiny, drags a little bit, and then it goes between two different character point of views. So one of them is Rhiannon, obviously, and the other one is Ali, and it's a guy. His name is Alyosha, and he's the star of a reality TV show, and it's very conspiracy theory-y. I don't know, there's a conspiracy theory where basically the government and like the world or the galaxy is plotting against him because he's this race called Rayton, that nobody likes. So they decide that since he's famous and he's Rayton, we're going to say that he's the one who killed Princess Rhiannon because they faked her death, and obviously she's still alive. So it's just a lot. I wouldn't buy it. If it's at your library, definitely give it a check out because it's worth reading. It's a series. I don't know when the next one's going to come out. I probably won't read it, but it's worth reading the first one if you're into sci-fi and fantasy. It's really cool. I wouldn't read it again, but I would recommend it to someone who does like sci-fi and fantasy. All right, moving on to The Hate You Give. Oh my god, it was so good. Okay. So I read this while I was reading Empress of a Thousand Skies, and I couldn't stop. Like, it's one of those books where you're like, I can't stop. I can't do anything else. I have to read this all the time until I finish it and find out what happens. Okay, so imagine, close your eyes. Are your eyes closed? Okay, I imagine they're closed now. So imagine in your head, you're 16. Doesn't matter if you're a boy or girl. And you are African American. And you're riding home after a party, minding your own business. You're not drunk. You're not on drugs. You just get a ride home from a party. Your friend's giving you a ride home, and you're getting pulled over by the cops. And you're both like, Why are we getting pulled over? We're not speeding. We're not drunk. What's going on? And so the cop gets out of the car and comes to your window and says, you have a busted taillight. And so your friend is like, okay, well then just give me the ticket for it, whatever. Then the cop pulls your friend out of the car, stands him up against the car, and you're like freaking out because cop just pulled your friend out of the car, and you're just going to sit here and be freaking out because that's what you do when you're 16. You don't know what to do when there's cops. And so your friend's standing here on the side of the car, and the cop starts to put handcuffs on your friend. And your friend is like, what the hell? So the cop says he's going to go run your friend's license and goes back to the car, to his car. So then your friend looks in the window and says, are you and then gets shot in the back 3 times. So you are out of the car now and you are holding your friend, watching him die, while the cop points his gun at you because he's now afraid that you're going to do something. What do? Because now you're a witness. You saw your friend die. You held your friend while he died, and you're black and it was a white cop. That's the hate you give. So Star Carter is 16 and she's black, and she goes to a private school where that it is primarily white. And so I didn't know how I felt about it because she talks about having to be 2 different stars. Star from the hood because she's from a poor neighborhood where there's drug dealing and there's gangs and, all that. And then she goes to this white school where she can't be hood star. She has to be white star. And she has to watch what she says and yes ma'am and no sir and yes please and thank you. And you have to be different when you're around people that are different from you. And she says she has to watch what she says. She can't use slang and she can't be angry black girl because she's the only black girl at her school. So then, this happens where her friend dies and a white cop kills her friend. And she has a lot of self-conflict because she has to decide, do I speak out against this cop because he killed my friend? I mean, there was no reason. There were no drugs in the car. There was no gun in the car. They weren't really doing anything wrong. And the boy leaned over to make sure that she was okay. Or does she do nothing? Nobody knows she was the witness, except her family. Her friends obviously don't know, besides that someone got shot and killed. So what does she do? What would you do? Do you speak out and advocate for your friend because your friend would do that for you? Or do you keep quiet because your friend may have been working for the biggest gang member, king person of the neighborhood who could kill you because he doesn't want you to talk about that? What do? Y'all, think about that. It is heavy, especially right now with everything that's going on with everything in the world, and it's just crazy. But this is real. This stuff is happening. And that's why I think this book is so important, because what do you do in that situation? And honestly, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, I want to be no, I'm going to go and I'm going to speak for my friend, and I'm going to advocate for him and make sure that there's justice for him because this cop murdered my friend. But I don't want to be a snitch, one. If my friend was in the gang and working for a drug dealer, I don't want that drug dealer to come after me. Especially if that drug dealer is my brother's mom's boyfriend. Complicated. It's crazy. But this is real, and this is stuff that happens. And in situations where we are who people, especially kids, turn to, you're in a classroom, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a librarian, whether you're an administrator, anything. We are put in situations where kids come to us and talk about these things that are happening. What do you do? What are you supposed to tell them? You don't have to. Read it. I am going to pass this book along to my kids and be like, read it. The biggest thing I learned from it is your voice is your most powerful weapon. So use it. Why are you going to be quiet? If you are standing up for what you believe is right, you do it. And one of my favorite quotes is where her mom tells her, um, sometimes it's hard to do what's right, but the difference is you keep doing what's right, you know? Or sometimes we do everything right and things still go wrong, but you just keep doing what's right. That was the quote. And I think it's super powerful because, we do things when we do everything that we're supposed to and we're on the right track and we think we're doing everything and then things still go wrong. Star's a good kid. She goes to a good school. She wasn't doing anything wrong at this party. She didn't even want to be at it. She gets a ride home because she was in a situation where she needed to go home. And her friend gets killed. Things still went wrong. She wasn't doing anything wrong. So she has to decide what to do. And the whole time, I'm completely rooting for her and like hoping that she does the right thing. And I'm not going to give you a spoiler because this book is amazing and you need to read it like right now. But you learn a lot, not just about Star and about just that all lives matter, but you learn about yourself. Like I learned a little about myself, about what I would do if I were in that situation. But it was really cool watching Star go from being someone who was like a victim to learning how to stand up for herself and her friends and her family and her people. And it was amazing. I loved it. And my favorite part at the end is when she says, "Yet I think it'll change one day. How? I don't know. When? I definitely don't know. Why? Because there will always be someone ready to fight. Maybe it's my turn. Others are fighting too, even in the garden," which is what they call her neighborhood, "where sometimes it feels like there's not a lot worth fighting for. People are realizing and shouting and marching and demanding. They're not forgetting, and I think that's the most important part. Khalil, I'll never forget. I'll never give up. I'll never be quiet. I promise." This is definitely the best book I have read in a very, very, very long time. I don't know how else to tell you to go buy it and read it right now. Ebook, audiobook, print book, I don't care. Read it. If you need to borrow my copy, you can borrow it. Let me know. It was amazing. Loved it. Every ounce of it. Angie Thomas, you're a genius. Thank y'all. You need to read it. Everybody read it. Have a good night.